Hi, Liz McCurry.
Hello, Will Goldstone. How do?
Very well. Welcome to Fierce Feedback, episode 6, Lockdown Edition, episode 6. That many? Everyone, welcome. If you're unfamiliar with the show, Liz and I are still at home, still broadcasting from home. And we've got a couple of video games to talk about from our past. Liz, what have you brought for me this week?
From our past, our criminal past.
Yeah.
So this week, William, what I thought I'd do is do a recap of Beatdown.
Really actually believed you that.
No. So yeah. Before I get into my game, I am so tired. Like, I could not sleep last night. I think it's aliens, and so I am proper spaced. And I've been drinking my herbal tea, which just relaxes me even more.
Oh God!
And my game,
everyone.
Wow. But yeah, you've been playing out at the minute.
Well, I played the game that I'm about to talk to you about this morning, but apart from that, I haven't played out since last week. I want to be playing Streets of Rage 4, but I haven't had time to play anything. I've just been working on the game and then working.
Working on.
Yeah.
Well, Pet, are you ready for your clues?
Yeah, always.
Let me pick my top 3.
Okay.
So this game was cited as the inspiration for Super Monkey Ball.
Okay, all I can think of is Donkey Kong.
Oh, Donkey Kong. Is that because it's got monkeys in it?
Yeah, I mean, what else is there? Hold on. Monkey Ball. What did you do in Monkey Ball? No, I'm not getting it. Peggle. Is it Peggle? You're finally covering Peggle.
I'm finally covering Peggle VR.
Does that exist?
I don't know. It was you who told me it existed.
I don't think it does.
I'm this because you're the one that told me it existed. I believe everything you tell me.
Google it.
Be careful. You have power. The second clue is that this demo was shown to Sony on VHS tape at the headquarters.
Monkey Ball. So Monkey Ball's like GameCube 2002-ish, I think. VHS tape was probably at the end of its runs before that. Inspiration. So you're thinking about Monkey Ball as in just literally the tilty Monkey Ball or one of the other games like Monkey Target or whatever?
No, just your genuine Monkey Ball.
Standard Monkey Ball.
Standard Monkey Ball.
Okay, give me clue number 3.
This game was Game Design Sweden AB's first and only release.
I mean, no, sorry. I mean, that's probably why that's not a very helpful clue, because they've not made anything else.
The last clue is that it was released the same time that the Spencer Mansion incident was ongoing in Resident Evil, July 1998. Anyway.
So you had 2 clues, is what you're saying?
Are you ready?
Yeah, come on.
Are you ready? This is
Second bowl.
No, almost. And this is 1998's PlayStation Kula World.
Oh, this is tweaking just the tiniest bit of my brain. There's like a little thing just going.
So Kula World.
I'm sure I remember this. Yeah.
It's special to me because I remember the first time I played it was when I was first kind of like getting into games. It was on the demo list. So it came with demo disc 16 from the PlayStation official magazine in 1998, and the demo that was on it was actually a very early prototype of the game. So the release title that I ended up playing was actually very different. And so Absolutely love this game. Loads of people remember this game very fondly. So I did a bit of research myself on Kula World.
Did you? Did you?
I did. But I actually got I got most of the facts from a really, really good video on YouTube by a YouTube channel called Everything Not Saved. And this guy did a whole history of the development of Kula World. And sadly, it was the only video that he'd done. It was great and very, 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 very insightful. So a lot of what I'm telling you is me. The majority is Everything Not Saved. So
in the same way that they've only ever made this one game, he's only ever made one video.
Yeah, maybe it's like The Ring and you pass it on. Maybe we'll only ever make one podcast.
Or like you're next.
Yeah, your laptop screen.
I do remember this game though. Like this is very very familiar.
It is a great game.
I love it.
So it was released in July 1998, and it is a puzzle platformer where you play a beach ball. So it's called Kula World, and Kula in Swedish is ball or marble.
Oh, that's fun.
Someone told me, I haven't fact checked it, so I could be talking bobbins. But
sounds fine.
So you control the beach ball, and you navigate around a 3D level, which is made of blocks. So the aim of the game is that you move the ball around the level, you collect keys to open up the exit to the level, and then you can collect special items in the level. So you can collect fruit to unlock a bonus level. You can collect this pill that either speeds you up or slows you down, and there's like other collectibles to kind of aid you on your ball journey. Now, the thing that is memorable about Kula World and was a little bit unusual in its day is that the physics in the game are such that if the world rotates to the orientation of the ball so that you're always stuck to the ledge. So it means that you can roll under the ledge and the world will rotate and you can unlock extra paths and kind of special hidden bits. So
it's kind of like Monument Valley would be today. You're walking up walls and
100%.
Or like Prototype, of course.
Or like Prototype, yeah, running up walls and smashing
different.
Yeah. So yeah, very much like that. And there's over 150 levels, and I don't think I ever did it, but I played a whole lot of levels. Like the first one is really easy. I think you just do a square platform round, and then they progressively more and more difficult and introduce obstacles. So there's like pits of spikes, there's lasers, and there's even in the later levels invisible ledges that you can only see by jumping onto them, by like making impact. So you kind of have to leaps of faith to see if that's the right way to go. So it was just lots of fun. So in this video by Everything Not Saved, he said that originally they didn't want it to be a ball or a marble. They wanted it to be like a mascot that you could associate with the game. So it was a rabbit that hopped around, but then in the end, for the sake of the mechanics, they kept the marble. But,
it's really nice sort of squash and stretch kind of feel as well.
It's fantastic. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the development team. So it was developed by Sweden AB. This was their only game, and it was published by Sony Computer Entertainment in Europe. So it was actually just a small team of 4 that made this. This was their first game, 4 teams. I think a couple of them had been on the Atari demo scene prior to making.
Okay.
The programmer was Jesper Rudberg. So he went on to actually be an engineer on the Darkness, Jackie.
Oh.
In 2007, and he worked on the Wolfenstein games. So he worked on Wolfenstein New Order, The Old Blood, and then Doom Eternal in 2020.
Very nice.
Very nice indeed. And then the designer, Johannes Soderqvist, he went on to be a designer on the Battlefield series and Star Wars Battlefront in 2015. And they're both still in the industry to this day.
Cool.
The composer was Johannes' dad, who was part of a band called Twice a Man. and this was their first and only, I believe, soundtrack for a video game. So they were a very, very, very small team. And after going to a trade show and gaining information about what they needed to go and get a publisher, after the trade show, they went to Sony HQ and showed their demo of Kula World on VHS tape.
Very cool. So was there any kind of like acknowledgement that, I mean, obviously Monkey Ball's quite like this. Was there any acknowledgement from the people who made Monkey Ball that we really liked Kula World and we really like monkeys, so we thought?
I think that was actually their official statement.
Right, it's on the back of the box.
Yeah, that's on the back of the box, yeah.
Have you played Kula World? Do you like monkeys? You are in for a treat with Super Monkey Ball.
Who doesn't love a monkey, though? And, like, I love a bit of Ape Escape as well. Flashing lights.
I haven't played Ape Escape. People rave about Ape Escape. I don't know anything about it.
Absolutely.
Sorry, tell me more about Kula World.
But I don't know anything beyond the studio that created Super Monkey Ball cited Kula World as their inspiration.
Oh, they did? Cool. Okay, well, that's good.
That's just what I know. It was known as Rollaway in North America, which sounds like an indie hit. And it was known as Kula Quest in Japan, which I really quite like. So we received favourable reviews all over the board, with IGN giving it 8.9 out of 10. 8.9 out of 10.
That is strong for what is just a ball rolling about some blocks. I mean, no offence to Kula World.
Rolling around some blocks, though. It's not. Do you know if this game was on mobile? It was available on Android at one point. So if this was available on mobile, I would be playing this all the live long day. It is so enjoyable, and the puzzles were really intuitive, and there's over 150 levels of like these handcrafted levels, and some would be psychedelic and like in space, and you'd be flipping upside down, and you would be finding new bits, and it was very, very joyous to play. Eurogamer gave it 7 out of 10, and Edge said that it was a good Nintendo title.
They also gave it 6 out of 10 just because I'm fact checking you at the same time. So right. Did anyone was anyone expecting them to do a sequel? Were there more Kulas expected?
For some reason, I think there was a Kula World 2, but actually, so Jesper Rudberg, the programmer, before I believe it was before he carried on and created The Darkness. I know The Darkness must have been before, because in 2009 he went on to form an independent game studio called Doctor Entertainment, and they released in 2010 a game called Puzzle Dimension, and many describe this as the spiritual successor to Kula World, in that you are a ball rolling around a 3D environment and you're collecting flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, and so even though he didn't create Kula World 2, he kept the spirit alive, if you will. As I was watching this video from Everything Not Saved, he said that originally the game that they were creating was a tunnel racing game like Wipeout, and they pivoted to creating this puzzle game. And the first render of the level was created in 3D Studio DOS. I didn't even know that existed. The poster had the great tagline of "Drive yourself up the wall."
That's very good. Well done.
And the back of the box says Kula World, a whole new ball game, which I also enjoy. Guide your Kula beach ball across 200 enticing 3D labyrinths floating thousands of feet above the ground. So there's 150 levels, and then there's like some unlockables. And I believe that the Japanese release had more levels than the European. Collect all the treasure and find the keys to open the way to freedom. Take care not to bounce off the edge and plummet to the ground. Leap across scorching tiles, piercing spines, and patrolling captivators, intent on bursting your bubble. all within an ever-decreasing time limit, and includes a two-player bonus mode. There was a two-player mode. It was like...
how do you do that?
It was like a copycat mode where you both had to navigate. And then I'm sure there was like a ghosting, like beat yourself kind of ghosting.
Like time trial kind of thing.
Yeah, I believe. So, I will leave you on a Jamie fact.
Okay.
So,
Jamie's our resident video game store proprietor who has all of the facts about all of the games ever created. Liz, tell me more.
So he said, the only fact that I have is anecdotal, in that Kula World was by far the most popular game for people to walk into the store and ask for pretty much the whole life of the PlayStation 1. It had incredible word of mouth popularity. We only ever had it in single units and we couldn't get it in fast enough. Don't get me wrong, it never sold vast numbers, so it sold like 150,000 copies.
Versus what's a good amount for PS1?
Well, I think like Resident Evil sold like 9 million or something bonkers.
I'm going to Google that. You carry on. 92 million.
92 million!
Yeah, not 9. That might be Lifetime though, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not PS1. But yeah, probably a lot more than Kula World. No offense to Kula World.
So he said that there was always someone who wanted it, and its popularity continues to this day, with copies routinely selling on eBay for between £75 and £100. Not bad for a load of balls. And then he said, in fact, for a long time they couldn't get it in at all, and people went on waiting lists for second-hand copies.
Wow. All until Super Monkey Ball came out in 2000. Well.
So that was a very, very short little jaunt into being a ball, but I loved Kula World and I had lots of fun playing it. I played it for hours, and all because of that lovely PlayStation official demo disc.
Yeah, I remember getting a lot of these things on demo disc. I think the game that I'm about to share with you, which makes this episode a PlayStation special, actually, came on the official PlayStation magazine demo disc. So Liz, I am, like I said to you the other day, I'm going to sort of introduce you to a game. It's kind of about the franchise, but I'm going to tell you about a particular entry into that franchise, which I think is definitely my favorite. And I think is kind of the peak of the series. It never really sort of like went off the boil for me, but I really loved this particular game. So this game came out in 1997. That's your first clue. It is, you see, you waste a guess every time. You know I've not played that game, but feel free.
You have mentioned Twisted Metal before. You don't
but I've
about PlayStation. No. So I'm trying to think in my head like what PlayStation games you've mentioned before and like in your gaming history, and like Twisted Metal and Carmageddon. And
I don't think I've mentioned this one to you. I should have done. You ready for clue number 2?
Yeah.
The same company that made this also created the game Genie.
Game over? No way! Because we got Game Genie! We tell you when it's over.
With Game Genie, I decide how many lives I get.
I use it when I want to live forever.
Play to the end and win. Maybe I want to start on level 15.
No problemo!
It makes cool games like Street Fighter 2 more exciting.
Less frustrating! With Game Genie, it ain't over. So we say it's over. Excellent!
Game Genie for NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis, and Game Boy. Codes from many popular games, each sold separately.
What, like the cheat card thing?
Yeah. So the Game Genie, for those who aren't familiar, was a cartridge that you put into your Mega Drive or Nintendo, and then you slot the real game into it, and it would unlock, like, I don't know, make Mario jump twice as high or whatever. It was like a hardware thing that created cheats.
So that wasn't Game Shark, was it? No. That's it. Okay.
So it was a toy company called Galoob, which is just a great word to say. And Galoob also made a series of toys which they wanted to make into a video game. That's your third clue.
Series of toys that they wanted to make into a video game.
The first game came out in 1991. That's not the game that I'm covering. I will be showing you that game because I've got the first three. The PlayStation 1 that I'm going to tell you about came out in 1997.
PlayStation 1997. Toys.
Multiplayer couch local multiplayer. Obviously local, it's 1997.
No idea.
Right, Liz. This week I am bringing you the very tiny micro
Gosh,
machines.
I love this game. I loved this game. I loved this game. So Codemasters made Genie.
Yep. They made Game Genie. So I've got Micro Machines 1, Micro Machines 2, but Liz, I'm here to tell you about Micro Machines V3.
I love that. Oh, the
Such
table level.
a good game.
Table level when you go around the salt and you have to jump off the table at the end. Me and my sister used to play this all the time and she doesn't even like games. Oh. And when the car falls and it goes into a little puff.
Yeah. So Liz, I had a little play of this morning.
Oh
What?
my god. We did like a PlayStation Kula World.
Yeah. Little crossover. So yeah, this game series kicked off in 1991 with Micro Machines made for Gloob Toys by Codemasters. They had the relationship because they made the game Genie. I think that's the right way around anyway. I should check that. But yeah, so David Darling and his brother Richard started Codemasters. I think their first game was in 1989 or something like that. But basically, they made this game called California Buggy Boys. And that was programmed by a guy called Andrew Graham. And then they struck a deal with Gloob Toys to make a game based on Micro Machines. And so they kind of basically expanded that. So you can see that there's, on the corner here, I've got a little thing that says, it just shows you the level. So Buggy Racers. So that's kind of like what the first game was. And they have this kind of cartoon style, as you can see there. And it was great because it's all about, this kind of cast of characters and their vehicles occurring over different levels. And because they're Micro Machines, because they're tiny, there's loads of different opportunities of what you can do. So as is in V3, there's a breakfast table. There's a bath in this one. In V3, there's a pond, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
There's a table where you've got like board games and things like checkers and cards, and then you've got like a workbench and a snooker table, which was also like the first level in Micro Machines V3. And so yeah, so this game, it was just kind of like for me, it was like a real peak of like, just really great multiplayer, easy, accessible, just fun. Like you basically had a racing game that was tricky, like it wasn't easy, and I really it was kicking my ass this morning when I was trying it out.
How does it handle now? Is it still good?
Yeah, it's really tight. Like, I mean, it's literally just like whizzing around the track and trying to not fall off, because it was all about like, are you going to skid out? Are you going to get taken out by one of the dangers that's in the level?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to like fall for one of its like tricks? Like there's a few things where like you go around the corner of a table and there's like a wedge of cheese and you're like, oh, I have to jump on that, but it just jumps off into infinity. And you're like, damn it. So this game was a big step up because it was the first step from 2D into 3D. And before that, they really were focused on multiplayer as well. So it wasn't like they massively changed the formula of the game. That's not a Formula One pun, by the way.
It's so cute.
But yeah, it's just got a ton of character in 3D. They really kind of went for it with everything they could do to make the use of the 3D medium of the PlayStation really interesting. So what you'll notice first of all is in the menu scene, you've got this kind of like isometric little car that you drive between these little garages to pick what you do in the menu. which is just adorable and colourful and great. And then when you actually get into the game itself, you've just got all of the things that you had in 2D, like in Micro Machines 2 Turbo Tournament. I've got the special edition of Micro Machines 2, which came with a construction kit that you could make your own sort of tiles and things and build a level, which was super fun. But yeah, so in V3 you had the same kind of formula of multiplayer, and they carried through this thing where you could play up to 8 players, and you could share gamepads. So they had on the Micro Machines 2 Mega Drive version, they had ports built into the cartridge, so you could plug in 2 more controllers and play 4 player, and then you could share the pad using the buttons to steer left and right, and the D-pad to be another character, and they just automatically accelerated. So they were like really obsessed with finding the max number of players to have a really frantic kind of local get all your mates around experience. And then of course for PlayStation you had the multi-tap, which was the way of plugging in more controllers, and you had the same thing again, 1 to 8 players. And in this one you had a lot more use of weapons, because it's in 3D. You could do things like firing projectiles with the tank cars. You could do dropping mines. You had a giant mallet you could squash other players with, which was really fun. And yeah, it was just something that really stuck with me. And like just some of the tracks that I really liked. Like there's one in a I think it's just called it's called Restaurant here, but you're basically in a curry house and you're racing around this table, and the track's kind of laid out with a line of peas and carrots, and then there's various dishes dotted around. There's another great one where your motorboat's in a pond, and that's really cool. But they just do lots of nice extra things that they couldn't really do with completely 2D version. Like you can see on the front here, you're actually being fired out of a toaster, and that's something that happens in the game. Right? So there's like nice sort of like, it's a cool effect, but it's also quite a cool way of balancing you versus other people.
I'm getting such a nostalgia hit watching this.
Yeah, it's great. And I can read you from the label on the front. There are scores for this game. 5 out of 5 from CBG, 94% from PlayStation Plus, 9 out of 10 from PlayStation Magazine, PlayStation Power, and PlayStation Pro. So this was a much beloved game, and it was a big hit for Codemasters, who were building on an already popular franchise, Liz.
I wasn't watching it. I just want to play it. I have so many good memories.
So yeah, when we finish this lockdown, we're going to play some of this game together, I think. Yeah. So they originally planned to make a version for the PlayStation and for the Sega Saturn. Unfortunately, the Sega Saturn one got shelved and I don't think ever released. But it did get released, of course, on the PlayStation 1 and N64, Windows, and Game Boy Color. So that probably wasn't in 3D. So the game had 48 tracks, according to my research. Yeah, that's what I don't understand, because I don't remember there being that many tracks. I can remember like 12. But yeah, it says 48 courses on the back of the box. Power-ups, hammers, mines, force field. My favorite one, I think, was like you had this little pincer, and it reached out and grabbed and then threw the other person to where you were, and you sort of swapped really quickly. It's so satisfying when you got it right. So as I was playing this, you had to place like second, like first or second. If you place third, you lose a life. I think I was playing it on beginner, so it was kind of brutal. But then, I mean, it's not really a game that you want to play one player anyway. It's meant to be for the fun of several people playing at once. And to me, it was like the game you would play. This was, I guess this was around like maybe the year or two after Worms, and when we were playing that as like the party game for, having your mates around and playing a game. But obviously, this is way more frantic. And I think like I did play Micro Machines 2 on the Mega Drive, but I don't think I really got into it until V3. And Micro Machines V3 also spawned a spin-off 3 years later called Micro Maniacs, which you'll probably never have heard of, and I hadn't heard of until I researched this episode. Micromaniacs is it's the same game, except you're little superhero people running. It's really odd. Sorry?
By Codemasters.
Yeah. So it's the same team basically. It's a very strange divergence from the mainline series that came out 3 years after, and you're basically just these weird little superheroes. And the story is that you've been shrunk by an evil scientist and been made to run around these courses, and are trying to kind of escape. And it's just kind of more of the same. But I think they were just trying to say, okay, well, what if we took the characters that drive the cars that you see in the menu, but made them more the game? And it's quite cool. It looks quite fun. The courses look quite cool, but I don't think many people remember this game because it's just, it's kind of an obscure divergence from the main Micro Machines thing. I mean, they're not the toy cars that it's based on after all. Do you remember Micromaniacs?
I don't. This is not familiar to me in any way.
This is, it's kind of like a Bizarro if someone said, did you know they also made a Call of Duty Endless Runner? And I'd be like,
yeah.
Did they know? Is that a thing? But yeah, Micromaniacs. Oh God, I've just gone through a bit of footage where it's there's a guy on an operating table and you've just run over his whole body. But yeah, so Micromaniacs came out in the year 2000, but the series actually continued with Micro Machines V4 in 2006 for the PlayStation 2 and other platforms. But it didn't really make it big like this one did.
Yeah.
And then, as you may remember, a few years ago, 2017, they released Micro Machines World Series, which was a kind of a return to the series. But again, it didn't kind of set the world on fire, unfortunately, although I quite enjoyed it. I had a go. And yeah, so the kind of the theory goes that racing games kind of changed around the year that V3 came out. So if you think about the year 1997, the effect that the PlayStation had on having sort of more realistic 3D for things, then think about games like Gran Turismo and some of those more realistic games that came out shortly after. That kind of took the racing game genre, I think, away from that kind of top-down historical style that 2D games had to be in. So, the theory goes that that's kind of why it went that way. And Codemasters were making some of those games as well. Like they made Toka Touring, they made Colin McRae Rally, and some of those kind of things. So, they followed that trend as well. And I think that this was like the last great Micro Machines game, which is a little bit harsh for V4 and World Series. But yeah, I think it's one of those unique packages where you can tell when a game has got a really great menu that a lot of love has gone into a game, right?
Yeah. And I think it's like you said earlier as well, that for it to go from 2D and then take full advantage of 3D.
Yeah.
They put everything into it. They put everything into the 3D aspect. They put everything into PlayStation hardware. It was just such a flagship title for its time. Yeah.
So Liz, that is Micro Machines. I don't own any other copies. These two, I've got the Amiga here, Micro Machines 1, and I've got the PC. The thing I love about Micro Machines 2 on the PC is it's got an amazing rock soundtrack on the CD.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and I bought this just to get the soundtrack because I just really like these songs. So yeah, Liz, I think we've coordinated pretty well this week on a couple of PlayStation 1 gems.
Yeah, PlayStation 1 gems. And I've got Kula World as well.
So do you prefer the rare, hard to find word-of-mouth classic ball game, Kula World, or do you like the massively popular tiny cars of Micro Machines V3? Let us know on the Twitters.
The nostalgia is strong with this episode for me.
I know. Yeah, I'd forgotten about the existence of Kula World as well. Again, it's like just so many, because I didn't have this, by the way. I had a mate who had a PlayStation, same as I didn't have an NES or a Mega Drive. It was always one of my friends had it. And my mate James had the PlayStation, or I think his older brother did, and we got the demo discs, and then we were like, oh, Micro Machines V3 is so good. And just played a ton of it. And yeah, absolutely adore this game.
Such fun memories. It's so strange though that I completely forgot you had weapons in it. For some reason,
Oh, I didn't. It's all about the mallet for me. Like that's my main memory of that game. It's just like
so good. Oh, what classics? They're good. Thank you, William.
Thank you, Liz. You can come and vote on @FierceFeedback on Twitter and let us know which one you prefer. I'll see you at home next week.
Toodaloo pom pom.
Cheerio.